blockchain, a bridge across industries. Our moderator is Bob Bonomo, president at Blockchain Terminal. We have Dr. Fabio Zoffi, owner and chairman at ORS Group. Maxim Yarushin, who's the business developer at Streamity. Johan Stael von Holstein, the early backer and advisor at Starflow, and Christophe, co-founder and chief architect at Rouge. We're just figuring out a microphone problem there, so our Twitter account, again, to go to is D10E_conference. Thank you so much. You guys have been tweeting some awesome pictures, so I've been reposting those on our page. It's great to have you engaged and part of the community. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and give our panelists a very warm round of applause.
Okay, we have an amazingly diverse group of industries, and our topic is obviously blockchain as a bridge across various industries. I'll start by giving you a brief summary of what my company does. Blockchain Terminal is a bridge between the traditional asset management community and the new cryptocurrency asset class, and trying to provide familiar tools and controls to fully enable the deployment and investment in cryptocurrencies. We'll start with, if we can go around each of the panelists and just give a brief summary of your company, the industry you're in, and how you're using the blockchain and your token. Dr. Fabio, would you like to start?
Want me to start?
Yes.
Okay. So good day, midday. I had my speaker slot yesterday, so I don't want to bore you. In a nutshell, we are an artificial intelligence software company. We create solutions based on algorithms to optimize business processes. And when we discovered last year that if we connect our solutions and algorithms with the blockchain and with the use of cryptocurrency, it makes a lot of sense for optimizing even further any value chain. Then we say, okay, let's do that. And so we have created connectors, intelligent connectors. We call them hyper-smart contracts, so that we are able to make all of our solutions and algorithms available to the crypto community, to blockchain projects, and to established businesses.
Johan?
We're working on a very new industry. It's basically 3-4 years old, and it's called the influencer economy. And because of it being so young, it's a fundamentally broken system, which is not working at all. So the blockchain here and the company Starflow that I'm advising, where I'm an early backer, is changing all this by using the blockchain, giving back the ownership and control of the influencers and people with content that has value, which through the token system will enable them to monetize all this. So it's a groundbreaking venture that I think will be fundamentally important to humanity in the long run.
And Christophe, you just did your presentation on Rouge, but you give a brief summary again, please.
Yeah, so Rouge is disrupting the coupon industry, which is a very old industry actually, but still broken, especially on the digital world, because as I mentioned in my presentation, it's so easy to copy-paste a coupon, so the blockchain can change that very, very much.
And Maxim, you're in Streamity. Could you please describe your industry, please, and your use of the token?
Streamity is a peer-to-peer exchange platform for the cryptocurrency exchange onto the fiat money and back based on the smart contracts and payment systems API. So we connected people's payment systems together and using smart contracts and signals to unblock the smart contracts.
I generally like to think of blockchain ecosystems as a pure supply and demand play, and I think it's very enabling. I also envision all future applications existing in really 3 layers. Blockchain for transactional capture, big data on top of that, both structured and unstructured data to hang on top of those transactions. And in your world, really machine learning to actually understand those interactions and learn and be forward-looking in terms of expecting needs of clients or needs of the industry. Can you really describe a little more about how the breadth of influence from an AI perspective and where you think that's going to have the biggest influence in the short term?
Well, we want to have some exciting kind of panel, so let me be a little bit provocative. So clearly, algorithms and intelligence is the key asset. So the blockchain is nice to have if it is useful, because you might be able suddenly to gather information, which it was almost impossible to gather before. And apart from some pure financial plays like exchanges or substituting banks, the blockchain is a distributed database, okay? So value chains in the next decades, you know my pitch, Bob, are going to be increasingly using algorithms to run business up to full automation. And so there are many businesses where it will be important to use the blockchain, okay? But the algorithms and big data analytics are going to transform any industry. So what's happening is that buzzwords like Industry 4.0 or automation or digitalization, they are increasingly transforming business, and executives are being forced to adopt this. And so we're going to see, many companies turning their business model into a data-driven business model. So the key assets is then the data. If you own proprietary data, you might have a very strong competitive advantage against other companies who don't own this data. And if you use certain algorithms, you're going to be more competitive than others. So it's very powerful what's going on. Robots and artificial intelligence are going to completely change society.
I couldn't agree more. I think this industry is a perfect example of creative destruction. I think that the human being's influence will change, and through analytics. The key, though, in my opinion, is interoperability, right? We can all envision a fully deployed public set of blockchains, but I also think the private blockchain space will still proliferate. So interoperability becomes a big part of bridging various industries. Do you have any comments on, outside of your own industry? For instance, yours is a consumer-driven industry, right? And big data has a lot to do with that. Can you talk about your views of how interoperability really plays a major part in your business strategy?
Yes, I think interoperability is a very important aspect. The same way that software just realizes its full potential when free software, open source become the rule, I think blockchain will only realize its full potential when protocol become the rule. They will be interoperable and permissionless. This is, I think, a very strong point. So big data is just the data transiting over. I don't like so much the term database that we used before, because blockchain is not fundamentally a database. If you want to have a database, there are better solutions than that. But for distributing trust, for creating value, that's the good tool, I would say.
And from an exchange standpoint, that's obviously the major objective, is to interoperate, to exchange one token for another, to provide liquidity. What's your view on the impact of blockchain more broadly from value exchange perspective outside of a pure exchange framework? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So you mean big data impact on the exchange platform? Yeah. I'm sorry? Big data impact on the exchange.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it could be, a good hub for the traders, for taking actual signals for the different strategies. I think big data is a good tool for analyzing, like trends in the exchanging to make an automated and fully automated bots. So, for example, our CEO has a big trading background, and in the perspectives, he wants to add the investment resource on the Streamity ecosystems, and we want to produce the bots, and I think big data could be very helpful for this type of the exchanges.
In terms of user communities, right? We have retail, we have financial services. really token exchange becomes a big interest, and I really was impressed with the Bancor solution, which was transparent transferability. But in terms of, for instance, in your domain, it's really leveraging experts and opinions and information to effect change. And how do you feel the blockchain will be instrumental in doing that across industries? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think that some of the problems that we have today with the algorithms and the way that the big data has been used on the last couple of years from companies like Google and Facebook has been totally intimidating and depriving our privacy. So I think that is going to be broken both through GDPR legislations that's coming now from the European Union, which is just a first step, far too slow, far too late, and far too small, but it's a first step in the right direction. So I think that data and algorithms are not going to be used for data as we know it today, where we are deprived on and then we were forced to look at different ads. It's going to be used much more in like Internet of Things and in huge information scales for industrial purposes, where it's obviously it's going to be incredibly important. So you'll have movements in two directions: the privacy, where it's going to be increasingly important for people to hold secret their secrets and to own and control the valuable assets, and the blockchain will enable people to actually monetize this. So there's going to be movements in different directions, and which is the reason why this is an industry that it really affects everybody and everything.
Yeah, it is sort of the glue, right? We have separate ecosystems, we have shared public blockchains, but the distribution of information, the ability to make decisions, and the ability to transact across industries is really, really important. From a coupon standpoint, you're really servicing retail consumers, trying to get them simplified access to best pricing and like. Can you talk a little bit about how you see that more broadly impacting the blockchain community?
Sure. It's a very important point. I think community, this is where divide us than the whole industry. In the old coupon industry, the real people you are serving is the shareholder of the company, of the coupon industry. Here, who we are serving is the community at large, meaning the user of the coupon, the issuer, so the brand on the shop, and potentially also the advertiser. So there is a big paradigm shift from talking first to shareholder to talking first to the user of a network on the community.
Your opinion as well with respect to interaction across industries, providing uniform capability, sharing of information, and optimal sort of interaction. Do you have any thoughts on beyond an exchange interaction, how that would impact communities?
Yeah, so of course, like security part is very important. We can't always make a new technology very fast because there are always, personal data which we need to collect and things like that. However, we need personally, for example, for now, KYC partners, for example, which help us to, collect and save the data of our clients, this services helps for exchanges too, and for us, to collect data and move forward.
And Fabio, with respect to domain expertise, obviously that's a very focused concept, right? You're a doctor, you have medical knowledge. You're a trader, you have financial services and security knowledge. Combining and integrating domain expertise and access to appropriate information and decision making. Can you talk a little more broadly about how you see that working?
Yeah, I think this is the real disruptive potential of blockchain. So the fact that if you combine these three things, or four, data, everything is data, and we are seeing that we are getting more and more data available, and then you take the computing intelligence algorithms, which might not even be extreme like some visionary people are thinking of artificial intelligence being very similar to human brain. I'm still skeptical about this, but at least in business, algorithms and mathematics and science will be able to decide much better than humans. And then you connect this with the blockchain, which allows you to collect information from entities where it is very difficult and to regain control of money out of governments. So if you combine these three things together, that's our pitch. We call them the ABC. It's very nice, no? Algorithms, blockchain, and crypto. Somehow it's written in the stars, I think. And we are you open up these in many small pieces of technology, like Lego-like. You enable anyone. That's my dream. Now I want to contribute, creating the next 1 billion entrepreneurs, because I'll make you a very extreme case. Let's take a farmer of a very small country, and he has a very small business, maybe just 1 acre, and then he's just producing a beautiful fruit. This guy is not going to survive in the next 20 years because he cannot compete against large farming companies like in Brazil, where they have thousands of acres and robotic-driven tractors steered by satellites, okay? So, but now imagine that to this guy or to his son, you give in just 2 algorithms. One is for crop yield prediction, so that he can know in advance how much he's getting for this season. And this is very easy to do because data are available. There are sensors collecting data about weather condition, sunlight, temperature, rain, and etc. And then you give him another algorithm for doing dynamic pricing optimization. And if he's producing oranges, he can even trade them in advance because it's a commodity product on future markets. So this guy is going to be able, know in advance how much is the crop yield, at what price to sell this to retain a higher margin. He's not available to do that. No? And then you use the blockchain for tracking the food chain, because let's suppose that this guy is producing a bio fruit. So in future, I want my children, myself, going to a supermarket, scanning the QR code and checking myself in the uncorrupted information of the quality of the food chain. This is a bio product, so blockchain for me is a technology for discovering the liars in many industries. So this guy is gonna get premium customers buying his fruit and paying a premium price, and then maybe he can even use a crypto money to get paid immediately, so you don't have distributors financially destroying him. Free technologies, this guy in a small country with just a very tiny production can survive, stays an entrepreneur, and keep the business. That's the vision, okay?
So there's many sort of vertical industries, but there's also the horizontal piece, sort of the established world, the third world, right, to democratize access to value, to reverse the arrows of data ownership, right, so that you can control what you create, monetize it. What are your thoughts on impact, not only across vertical industries, but across the horizontal industries of wealth and society? Anyone have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, maybe briefly, and then I leave, of course, to the. That's what I tried to tell yesterday. We are going to see a very different society in 2-3 decades from now. We are all worried. Robots, software, concentration of wealth. I mean, 48 people control already 50% of the global wealth, and it's not going to be better if we continue doing like this. So my vision is that we need to allow as many brains as possible to become entrepreneurs, to stay small, to get coordinated through technologies, so that we have a redistribution of wealth through business, not through government or taxation, through business. Okay?
I got to say, I completely do not agree with the first part. I am a born optimist, and actually every statistical information there is, you can use any big data and algorithm you want, proves that I'm right. Since the middle of the 1700s, when the industrialization started, everything has become better. Apart from environmental, if we're talking environmental in the air outside the house, because environmental inside the houses, that factories and everything else has been as everything else become incredibly much better. And it's not like a stock exchange, it's like a very clear line of improvement. Now, the funny thing is that during all this time of crazy improvement for 200 or 300 years, people have consistently been afraid every time a new technology has come up. And they have said, now we have to prevent the windmills outside, and now we have to... The word sabotage comes from the French word sabot, which is a wooden clog, which the workers threw into the machines to destroy them, to protect their jobs.
The ludist.
So every time we've been afraid of the what do you call this? I forgot the English word, sorry. We've been afraid of computers when they came. We've been afraid of laptops. We've been afraid of telephones and satellites. And now we're afraid of AI. The ingeniousness and creativity of man, the fundamental ability and power of man, if we can empower man to use their inner strength and superpowers with the help of blockchain and distributed ledgers so that we are actually independently free and responsible, it will be a beautiful world, much better than today as it has always been.
We also often use the word disintermediation. I'm curious as to your thoughts of the net impact of such interactions, such free exchange of value with respect to current authorities, governments, communities. What's your opinion on how they will react and what the impact will be to the democratization of information and the transfer of value?
This is a very important point because blockchain in itself is not the solution for everything. Actually, we were speaking about distribution of wealth. Blockchain has been very poor as a solution to distribute more equally wealth as now. I think the human dimension is very important. What you do with blockchain? Indeed, the biggest impact of blockchain comes where it's more efficient than existing solution. So this is where, for example, you have these days in intermediations coming in. This is where blockchain works. This is where it has a big impact in society. But we need to do, as a society, something else to make society more democratic or more equal and so on. It's not going to come from technical solutions. That's my point of view.
Another key aspect of what we talk about is digital identity, the benefits of that, the opportunities to optimize interactions. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the critical path nature of digital identity adoption in order for interoperability, in order for maximum impact to occur? Do you have any thoughts on digital identity and how critical that is for optimal use of the blockchain?
Do you mind? Yeah, so, I mean, I think I said yesterday in my speech that since the beginning of time, we've gone from everybody being slaves to being fewer and fewer slaves to being more and more democratized. And again, it's a very, very clear line that you can just follow. There's nothing that says that this is going to change, which means that the whole notion of the blockchain, empowering people, the distributed systems, giving more responsibility, which of course increases risk, but also opportunity. If you just look at the ICO, how that has democratized the abilities of investing companies, which means that poor countries that does not have a developed VC system today can find money for entrepreneurship and startups through using the community as such. Everything is getting better. We have a beautiful future ahead.
I would like to disagree, if you allow me, okay? No, I mean, I'm a positive thinker, I'm an entrepreneur, so of course I only see the sunny side of technologies. But I think this time is different, okay, against the past. Because, you know, you could take 50 years ago someone working at Ford, and you could retrain this person within a very short period of time to mount solar panels, okay? These days, think of lawyers, accountants, etc. These jobs are gonna disappear because we are already discussing algorithms to do automatical auditing or bookkeeping. So, and in 20, 30 years from now, you would need to retrain these brains to be turned into scientists, because the next jobs are for quantum physicists, for biologists, for people manipulating through math, DNA, and equations. So I'm worried about the fact that we won't be able to turn 9 billion or 10 billion people into scientists. So this time is different, and that's the challenge we're facing.
And you disagree?
Of course. Because, I mean, as I said, everybody has always been afraid of change. So there's nothing new. And there's nothing new because everything is going to be object-oriented. Any idiot will be able to program in the future just by putting things together. So any idiot will be able to be a scientist. If the information we have in the world today is this table, and the only thing that's valuable are the glasses and the bottle, AI will find that in 2 seconds and it's all done. So 40% of all existing jobs are gone. But AI will find information as big as this room. And you have this table and that table and those glasses. And all of this information that we don't even knew had any value at all or even existed is going to create thousands of new companies. Maybe not companies with 100,000 people, but 100,000 companies with 10 people. The distribution of wealth from Sweden to South Africa or South America is going to be so simplified, so fast, so transparent, so distributed. It's going to be beautiful.
I agree on the distributed word. Okay, we agree on that.
Any impediments do you see to such, a next generation of impact? Obviously, we're all very centralized in terms of our knowledge base of this new technology, but what do you see as some, sort of roadblocks or concerns along the way?
Well, I think the important point here is the stack, because we don't have yet many protocol that works on the blockchain. So maybe some disruption can only come when some already are operational. So there is a time too late. So I'm very optimistic, but I don't think, I'm a bit like Fabio, I don't think that blockchain is the solution for everything. And we need to let time on real project, build real protocol, build real interoperability to let blockchain solve the solution that can be solved by blockchain.
Fabio, do you see the future as more leisure and more as-needed interaction with other participants as a result? More leisure time for human beings?
That's a general trend. 30 seconds, how much? Okay. Very concise. So, yes, we are going to enjoy much more leisure time. That's the very good story. It depends what kind of quality we can have. So if let's say productivity gains through technology are going to be shared, then we will have, instead of basic income, which is very bad, we are going to have. My vision is, I call it even socialist 4.0, which is every city will have a common plans for producing food, electricity, all the basic needs, owned by the community, okay, and like in cooperatives. And then we will have plenty of time, so we will still have guys who wanted to drive a Ferrari, who will have to work more, but otherwise people will enjoy a lot of free time for, arts, whatever. Okay.
Can I add a bit?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, my vision of the future, now ICO's world looks like and startups world in America a bit earlier. And it will be very interesting and very curious to see who will be new blockchain Facebook, new blockchain Google, and these companies, and who will be fall apart.
Starflow is one.
Yes. Is time up? Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.